Welcome, everyone, to a very special episode of the Mindful Healers podcast. A reminder that our podcast is not medical advice. Today's episode is a special one because we are celebrating the 1-year anniversary of the Mindful Healthcare Collective. Yay! Our intention for today's episode is that you'll be meeting the volunteer physician leaders of the collective. They'll be sharing some information about their best tips with you. You'll discover how their perspectives are on incorporating mindfulness and intention into your own life, why you might want to join us in the Mindful Healthcare Collective, and how you can join us.
So we wanted to celebrate today and celebrate the fact that we've been at this for 1 year since the pandemic started, healing and providing value and not missing the opportunity to celebrate. That many times in life, we are not mindful of celebrating, and that celebration in and of itself brings value and inspires others about what's possible. We also want to celebrate the strength of collaboration, which is one of the most beautiful things about this group and this beautiful collection of physician wellness leaders who have come together, and our diversity and connection, and the beautiful value of the community that we have created and all had the privilege of being a part of. We have our most beautiful, energetic, wonderful leader, Dr. Ni-Chang Liang, to thank for getting this whole movement started. And we wanted to hear from her and have her share with all of you what her vision was in beginning this journey a year ago.
First of all, I can't do any of this without all of you, and special thanks to my incomparable co-host, Dr. Jessie Mahoney, for making a lot of this possible. The initial vision really came from a place of panic, actually, because knowing that physician wellness and healthcare professional wellness was already in jeopardy, 40 to 50% of physicians were already burnt out prior to the pandemic in and of itself. Knowing that the pandemic was just going to make that worse, I wanted to start something very quick and accessible, and so honored to know many of you from collaborations, having worked with you, or just having been an admirer of your work. I asked the 8 of you to join me in this endeavor that has since lasted a year plus. And so I really, really want to thank each and every one of you for all of your contributions. We've together put on over 100 sessions that have been free for healthcare professionals and the general public, and have offered a variety of different offerings, from yoga to emotional freedom technique to mindfulness sessions to coaching sessions to dancing sessions. And it's been quite the journey. And so I thought that it would be a lovely way to reflect back on this past year. Thanks to all of you for your good work.
It has been such a privilege to be part of this group of amazing women physicians. And we wanted to take the opportunity today to introduce them to all of you. Each of them is a physician, but also has special training in mindfulness coaching, other wellness tools, and specific focus on physician wellness. And this group was founded with the notion that though we all know that systems need to change and organizations need to change, that we can't wait for that to happen, and that we have to be here to take care of one another and show up and provide support and help for each other. And as many of you know, we lost another one of our own this week, and it makes this work that we're doing here that much even more important and powerful. And so with that, we wanted to take the rest of this episode to introduce you to all of the people that make the Mindful Healthcare Collective as incredible and amazing as it is.
So Dr. Jill Weiner, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself and what's been your best tip over this last year to share with our listeners.
Sure. Thanks for having me and for allowing me to be inviting me to be a part of this incredible group. I'm Jill Weiner. I practiced hospital medicine for 10 years, and then in 2015 transitioned out of my clinical practice to teach meditation. And I'm also now a tapping practitioner, also called the Emotional Freedom Technique. I'm an author, a podcast host as well. And I would say that, and I do work in the anti-racism, social justice space. I would say the biggest tip would be for people to trust themselves and the experiences they have in these sessions, and to be open to something that is going to potentially shift their outlook on what wellness might look like for them.
Thank you so much. And Dr. Payal Gayal.
Hi, everyone. Super excited to be here. So grateful for Ni Chang to invite me into this beautiful group of wonderful ladies who I really didn't know most of them until we started this fun. So I'm a pediatrician. I'm an integrative physician. I am mindfulness certified. I am a life coach. I do focus some of my work on parenting, but not always. Parenting is related to everything else, so it kind of makes it super fun. And the tip that kind of comes up for me a lot, which I've worked on personally a lot, is a lot of self-acceptance and this journey on self-compassion that has been pretty significant, especially during this time when we have been challenged to our maximum, pushed to our extreme, especially for women when we were already just managing, just balancing, and then now adding a lot more tasks, a lot more things that had to be done. So I've really seen myself grow, and I've also seen the work that's been done in my clients, and I love it. It just brings me so much joy to know that what we think is doesn't have to be. So, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Sarah Dill.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been such a privilege to be part of this group. I just remember so strongly the feeling of just uncertainty, and I think it was panic, and a lot of uncertainty and fear, and just wanting to help in any way possible. So I am a practicing dermatologist and pediatric dermatologist. I'm also a life coach. I coach physicians on burnout, work-life balance, and sort of just how to be happier and feel better now before having to make any changes. I'm also a qualified mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher, and pretty much just a self-development junkie, I would say. I love it. I've done a lot of different things. My best tip, there's pressure with the best, a tip for listeners to bring mindfulness, coaching, or intention into your lives, I would say, is just start where you are. Wherever you are is perfect. Often we are very uncomfortable, or speaking for myself, starting as like a beginner again, especially as an expert in whatever you're already an expert in, and just trying to stay curious, right? Exploring whatever sort of piques your interest. Maybe it's meditation, maybe it's mindfulness, maybe it's tapping, maybe it's reading in, self-development books, or coaching, or just getting out into nature. There's so many different avenues and they're all available. So just noticing what you're interested in and following those clues.
Thank you. And Dr. Yvonne Ator.
Hi everybody. So grateful to be here. I'm actually really grateful, especially to Ni Chang. Ni Chang and I met during my Dare to Lead retreat on a weekend, and she proceeded to just kind of change my whole life. So thank you by introducing me to this amazing sisterhood. I call it the sisterhood. And so I'm just super humbled and privileged and grateful to be counted as one of you. Thank you. So I am a personal and executive coach who's focused on mission-driven physicians and sometimes other helping professionals as well. I'm super passionate about helping those who are mission driven, who went into medicine to be of service, and then find themselves, either compassion fatigued or burned out, and really wondering, like, how do I get to make the difference I went into this profession to make when I'm completely fried? So I'm really passionate about, yes, personal development, but especially mental toughness, emotional resilience, and positive psychology. So I spend a lot of my time holding space for physicians and helping them tap into their own resilience and helping them live the lives that they feel called to live in a way that's aligned for them. So super, super grateful and excited. My tip, what I feel like after years of coaching, I think the most important thing to remember that it's all about the practice. It's all about showing up. How you show up in your moments. That's where it is. Because life is made of a series of moments. And sometimes we're so focused on where it is that we want to go to, we forget about where we are. So like Sarah said, starting where we are, but remembering that it's a practice, which means that with practice that you're going to make mistakes, you're going to fall flat on your face, you're going to get back up. So fall down 7 times and get up 8. Just keep showing up for yourself, keep showing up for your life, keep trying, keep doing the thing that you want to do. So that's my tip. Thanks again.
Thank you. Dr. Karen Schiff.
Hi. I just echo what everybody else says in terms of being so honored to be here. Nicheng and I kind of met serendipitously at some event and then decided to have coffee together. And then within a couple months, we were doing this. And so I consider myself really lucky to be part of this group. I'm a family physician. I work at a federally qualified health center here in San Diego. And I've been there for about 16 years. I've been the director of clinician wellness for about 4 of those years. And I'm actually about to let that go to work on other things. I'm also qualified to teach mindfulness-based stress reduction, which is my recent passion. And I feel really good about that work. And then I'm also a facilitator of the Mindful Practice in Medicine program that was developed at the University of Rochester by Ron Epstein and Mick Krasner. And so for me, in terms of getting it out, I speak from my own experience and from some of the experience of other people who I've taught. I feel that in terms of getting into mindfulness, I'll speak from that because that's what I know about. And kind of similar to what other people have said, start with something and make it your own. And start with something simple. It doesn't have to be somebody else's practice or what somebody else tells you is the magic number of minutes or words or app. So finding something that you connect to in some way and that makes you feel good, even if it's briefly, and then trying to be consistent about it. And then when ready, if you want to dive a little bit deeper, then looking into something a little bit more formal, maybe like an MBSR class or something else. So start with something small, stick with that, and then see if you want more.
Thank you. Dr. Ann Canard.
Yay, I'm so happy to be here. It was a funny time, like everyone said, just wanting to offer something to make any bit of this better a year ago. And I was so happy to join this group. So my name is Ann Canard. I am an academic OBGYN. I also direct the resident wellness programs. I am, an integrative medicine and lifestyle medicine physician, trained as an herbalist, trained as a nutritionist, and love culinary medicine as well. And so my contributions in the Mindful Healthcare Collective have ranged from yoga, which I particularly like teaching yin and restorative yoga. It's allowed me to bring back my violin playing in a low intensity setting, so that's been nice. and culinary medicine as well. And I think, thinking about a tip for adding in mindfulness, I have to go back to prioritizing good quality rest, because I think that if, you're not resting well, you're not sleeping well, the mind becomes very unsettled and difficult to ground. And I think particularly during the pandemic, sleep was challenging anyway. And then we saw this whole rise of insomnia and doom scrolling, at night, myself included. And just thinking about putting, the phone into a little sleeping bag, a few hours before bed, and spending some time doing some activities that are nourishing and grounding. That's one of the reasons I teach the yin yoga in the evenings, and adding perhaps a mindfulness or yoga nidra relaxation practice, body scan at night, something like that. And prioritizing that quiet, dark, restful sleep that's needed for the nervous system to settle, so that we can approach our lives and these other self-care activities with the best bandwidth possible.
Thank you. Dr. Shivani Mukamala.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much, Mi Chang, for inviting me into this group. I'm just so in awe of all of you, and it's so wonderful to see all of you together a year later. I think a year ago when we came together, all of us being caretakers wanted to do something and wanted to take care. And this has really been a love, sending love to our fellow healthcares together. And I've learned so much from all of you. Like Mi Chang said, my name's Shivani. I'm a academic pediatric anesthesiologist that practiced at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta in Georgia. And I'm also an assistant professor in anesthesiology at Emory University. My main passions in terms of interests are pediatric difficult airway, solid organ transplantation, physician wellness, and equity in medicine, whether it's providing equitable care or having equity in terms of promotions for various groups. And my main tip and my kind of mantra for life, if you will, is we are what we practice. And I recommend everyone to weave in mindfulness and informal mindfulness in their daily lives, whether it's at work or at home or during self-care or self-compassion. And it will help increase positivity and joy in your lives.
Thank you.
I think I'm next, and I am Jessie Mahoney, and I know most of you hear me and hear with Mi Chang every week. And I wanted to take a moment before we move on and just reflect on the amazing things that all of you have said, because they are so all of you and what you bring to each of your sessions. And I just, Shivani's comment that we are what we practice and weaving in mindfulness is exactly what you do when you show up in the Mindful Healthcare Collective space. And prioritizing rest and quiet and dark is that deep, like yin yoga hug. It just popped into my head, and it was so beautiful. And so for anyone who's listening who hasn't been to any of our sessions, these tips are exactly what comes out in these sessions. And Karen Schiff, start with something simple and be consistent. Like you show up just clean and simple and consistent. And so these are all exactly like the essence of these human beings. And it also draws to my mind this idea that mindfulness can be so different, and the breadth of offerings in this group and the different people and the way that they all approach it. And that came across in everything that each of you said. And because I want to make sure I tap on everyone and make sure that I know that when people listen, we often miss stuff and then we have to rewind. And so Jill's comment to be open to new things. So Jill, and Pyle, self-acceptance, self-compassion, start where you are. And Sarah, curious, follow the clues. And Yvonne, practice and keep showing up. I mean, these are exactly the essence of every one of the people in this collective. And realizing that if whatever one of these tips comes to you is kind of the magic of mindfulness, that there's no right way to do it. I think we say that week after week. And this episode clearly shows that there's a million ways to do it by all people of all across the country and all different specialties. And that this is just a incredibly versatile tool that can help you in so many different ways. So I've been writing it down and I was so excited to share that I had to pause and take that moment. So I am a pediatrician and practiced pediatrics for 18 years and was a physician wellness leader for 18 years. And a year ago, actually just around this month, I transitioned to being a life coach and yoga teacher. It became full-time, and we'll see where I end up. And I am a certification in coaching, and I'm a certified yoga teacher. And here I do and bring a lot of that into this space. And my tip is about pausing. And pausing and being present is how I got into this work, and taking advantage of the pause. And I think that our offerings here offer people a pause to just step out of their life, show up and enjoy being in the moment. And when people can take that moment to pause, whether it's to pause and breathe in yoga or pause and breathe in one of our sessions, and to be present and notice what's happening, that's where they can move forward and see a path forward. That's where the clarity comes, in the pause. And that we can find a pause anywhere. So whether you need a pause in your busy clinical day, whether you need a pause from your family on the weekends, wherever you need the pause and whatever it looks like, it can be available to you. Ni-Cheng, do you want to reintroduce yourself briefly and share your tip of the day?
Yeah, so I'm a practicing pulmonologist in San Diego, California. I am also a mindfulness teacher. Like Sarah and Karen, I'm also a qualified mindfulness-based stress reduction teacher, and I'm a current integrative medicine fellow at University of Arizona. My tip for all of you is to not forget about your body sensations. One of the easiest ways to ground back into the present moment experience is to notice what's going on in the body. And as a pulmonologist, I bias in what you choose to notice. So my kind and gentle reminder for all of you is to breathe. Breathing is a very accessible and easy way to notice your body sensations.
Such a wealth of experience and wisdom and backgrounds and tips in there. We wanted to circle back around and share a bit about our experience in the Mindful Healthcare Collective, what it's meant to each of us, what value we've seen it bring to others, to hopefully inspire some of you to join us and or find a way to create some of this connection and community in your own space. Jill Weiner, do you want to go first and share what being a part of the Mindful Healthcare Collective has meant to you and what value you've seen it bring to others?
Absolutely, I would love to. I think I just need to name the fact that Anne's cat, for anyone listening to the recording, this is on video, Anne's cat is showing us all of its body parts right now, and I think we're all trying to keep it together. And of course, I get called on right now. So that's the first thing that the collective has brought to me is Anne's cat during her sessions. Gosh, for me, I think it really brings to like, the more you give, the more you receive. And we've very consciously chosen to not charge for what we provide in this. And what I've gotten in return is these 8 beautiful women who are in my lives, who are friends of mine. And we've all connected through social media, I would say, for all of us. And it can feel very lonely or isolating to be doing this work and not have a circle, like a group of people to do it with. So in addition to that, like obviously the obvious is being able to connect with these amazing healthcare professionals out in the world doing the work in this pandemic, and being able to provide some sort of like an aha moment, or like you were all saying, a pause or awareness of the breath, giving them some hope and a respite from what they go through. So, you know, I will do this as long as I'm given the chance to do this. It's been incredible, and the chance to be inspired by all of you.
That's so beautiful. Thank you. Payal.
So for me, being part of this group and being part of the Mindful Healthcare Collective really gave me a sense of belonging and a community, especially in a time when we were so alone and so isolated. I know it was different for everyone. Some people were working more than ever, and others had to close their practices. I personally had 5 months where I didn't work in clinical medicine. And this gave me that place where it's like that kind of warm hug where I'm like, oh, I know these are my people. And being able to offer what I knew and my tools and my talents really gave me purpose. You know, I know that it was virtual, and I'm an extrovert and I love like hugging and talking and all that stuff. But this kind of was that opportunity to be like, oh, look, there's something else that I can do, that I can offer, and it's helpful and people want it. So for me, really, it's a lot of purpose and belonging.
Thank you so much. Sarah Dill, I think you're next.
I think so too. I didn't want to talk over anyone. Being a part of the Mindful Healthcare Collective has meant so much. I mean, one, just being able to connect with all of you. And I was just realizing that I actually haven't met any of you in real life yet. Hopefully that will change soon, but I feel so incredibly connected. And for me, it's just an example of how I actually find social media, when you connect with people, to be a tool that can be so useful, especially in this pandemic where we have been really required to be physically isolated, but yet to still have social connections that feel so strong and so true. And then being a part of MHC has also been such an opportunity just to be of service in however I can be. And to have fun doing it. I think bringing some lightness to at times what is a very intense amount of suffering, but also having the balance, right? With suffering also comes this connection and community and help, and sometimes laughter, like with the cat. And right, it's all there, it's all available. And so it's really been a very full experience.
Reminds me of the duality in yoga, that you can have fun and connection and beauty and love at the same time as there are really difficult things happening and people suffering. Dr. Yvonne Ator, I think you're next.
What has being a part of MHC meant to me? It's been like everyone said, a place of belonging, but not just belonging. It's like for me, it's been almost like a haven in a way, or a refuge, right? I'm so busy serving everybody else. And I get to kind of come into this, space where I don't always have to perform. I don't always have to be on. I can just be myself. I can be silly 1 minute, and I can go super deep, and no one bats an eyelid. They're just like, yeah, that's Yvonne, right? So I feel like as physicians, in a lot of spaces we have to be on. Everyone's looking to us for guidance and leadership and all of that. But to be able to be in a space where if you decide one day, if you say, I'm just tired, I'm exhausted, I don't feel like doing anything, people will get it. And they'll extend that self-compassion. So there's that sense of belonging, but it's beyond that. I don't know what the word is, where you can just show up as you are and it's okay. And so that's a big one for me. The other thing was I've had a full circle moment with this pandemic. Some of you know my story about how I lost my dad during a physician strike in Nigeria. And that was what set me on this journey towards physician and health provider wellness. And And I've been seeing something like the pandemic coming for about 10 years, and it's been my nightmare. And to be able to live through it, but in this cocoon of like-minded, amazing women, and this amazing community has been a divine gift for me, because I don't think I could have, seeing my nightmare come to pass and seeing the chaos that I've been talking about happen. I think if I'd been by myself, I would have imploded for sure, because I felt like that during the pandemic. So that's one. I think the other thing is, yes, being of service and providing those respite sessions has sharpened me in so many ways. I thought I was being of service, but in a lot of ways, people were pouring so much back into me by really being served by what I brought. And also seeing all the different modalities that everyone was practicing. I didn't know that much about tapping, and Jill would do these amazing tapping sessions, and Nicheng will talk about another, she talk about rain, and Kyle. I mean, everyone just has that, Karen, everyone just has, Shivani, everyone just has that special sauce that they bring, and you've expanded my life in so many ways. I didn't know these modalities existed. So anyway, I could go on and on, but super, super, as you can tell, passionate about this group, what you've brought to my life, and hopefully just being part of my life has been incredible.
That comment that Jill made, you just repeated, which is the more you give, the more you receive. And I think all of us feel that about this group. And then I just love the special sauce. This group is filled with like all the different flavors and slight variety. And it's beautiful that someone who's had so much experience in the wellness space has learned so much, and realizing that we can all learn so much from one another and grow in our own mindfulness and wellness practice. It's incredible. Dr. Karen Schiff, I think you're next. And if I have you out of order, I'm sorry. I'll just move right along.
Sorry, I had to exhale there. I just really love hearing from all of you what this collective means to me. Well, like Yvonne said, I've been exposed to so many modalities that, tapping, coaching, proprioceptive writing, yin yoga. These are all things that I've heard about and have been in my kind of sphere, but I've never, I never experienced. And I think that the beauty of this collective is it made it so easy to just experience and learn all these different things. And you could just dabble with one and say, oh, I like this, or, oh, I'll try this. Not really my jam, but, cool to have tried it. And so for me, I really appreciate just being exposed to all of that. And then of course, the pandemic has been so hard for so many people, but I do have to say that in one sense that the gift of this pandemic has been to bring me closer to certain people and communities like this one. I wouldn't have been a part of this or known any of you had it not been for this pandemic. And I really can't imagine life without you and without the collective and without being a part of this. So to me, that's, that means so much. And then, I think having an opportunity to offer practices, and I haven't offered as many as some of you, but I mean, the reason I do this work and I do the wellness work is to help others, but it's also to help myself. And having the opportunity to show up, as Yvonne says, is hard. It's hard to, as Yvonne would say, enter the arena, or there's another thing that you say, the tunnel or something. Anyway, showing up is hard.
Cave. Hey, on the cave.
The cave. Okay. The cave you fear to enter. So showing up is hard. And every time I present and every time I teach, I have to kind of get over myself and get over that fear. And so this, this group has provided me that opportunity to do that again and again. And then I feel that it helps me just be better and make it easier to show up, and then easier to show up in the future and to be able to help others more, and then ultimately help myself. So, and then the other thing is, I just feel like for any leaders in clinician or healthcare provider wellness, it's a really hard job to carry that load or that pressure or that expectation of trying to make people's healthcare providers' work lives or their lives in general more pleasant, tolerable. And for me, it's a heavy load to carry, and having other like-minded people who are doing this work and to be able to share our experiences together. It's kind of like this tribe. And you get support from your tribe. And, I feel like we've all supported each other through difficult moments and also celebrated our wins or our positive moments, even small little things and some big things. So, that's what it's brought for me. I think for others, I think all of that, we've all witnessed the depth to which some people share authentically in these sessions. I think that these sessions give people a real opportunity to be just themselves, honest, again, with people of their own community who get it, who just get their experience. They don't have to explain the whole background of what it's like to be on call and or whatnot, and can just get into it and just with one word, everybody in the room understands. And I think that there's so much power and impact of us getting together in this kind of safe container. So I think I'll leave it at that. But I think you can tell by my enthusiasm how important I think that this community and this work is.
The power of the shared experience, I think, comes through in so much of what we each bring and everyone who shows up for these events. I think and Canard is our next reflection.
Thank you. First of all, we'll start with the cat. So the cat has come to all of my Zoom sessions, every speaking engagement, all the yoga. So it's only fitting, I suppose, that the cat would make an appearance on the podcast. Like everyone else, the MHC group has been a real silver lining for me. I did not really ever expect to have so many colleagues that I could share this with. When I started to become interested in physician wellness, even as a trainee, like 10 years ago, there just wasn't anyone really talking about it. And to be a part of these women with a diverse, rich offerings, has been really fantastic. And I guess another silver lining is, as an integrative physician, COVID really has made people interested in the dark arts, as it were. People want to know how to optimize their immune system, how to reduce health chronic conditions that may lead to poor outcomes. There's been a focus on healthcare disparities, particularly in my field in obstetrics, looking at maternal morbidity and mortality for women of color. And while the pandemic has cost a lot, those things are so hopeful and permanent, hopefully. And I think that's been a real great thing to witness over the year. In terms of more personally, what this has meant to me also, and just in terms of my sessions, is, like someone else said, scheduling it and doing it makes me do it. And it's really been a pleasure to be committed to doing yin and restorative practices. Previously, I was a competitive violinist, and it has been good for my soul to bring back out the instrument and just play it, no pressure, nothing fancy, just play it. And playing with my dad as well, who often accompanies me during many of my sessions, has also been a real gift. So many, many gifts of the pandemic and MHC in my life.
So beautiful.
And sessions are like a hug in motion.
Dr. Shivani Mukamala.
Mukamala, like the vice president.
How do I say it?
Mukamala, like the vice president. Kamala, Mukamala.
Okay, now I got it.
I mean, there's so many great things that everybody touched on, and I think I agree with all of them. I think connection is something that builds all our resilience. It makes us happier. And I was one of those physicians that was working every day during the pandemic. And I felt like I was running on empty, and MHC was somewhere where I could fill my own cup and hopefully help fill the cups of others and help them feel seen at a time where I feel like a lot of us on the front lines felt very unseen and unheard. So it's really special to be part of MHC for me. And I do appreciate learning from all of you, connecting with all of you, and just knowing that there are other people that have the same thoughts I do and want to accomplish the same things and helping others and to bring wellness to the forefront of everything. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you, guys.
Ni Chang, would you like to share next?
Yeah, so much to share, but I think I'm going to summarize by saying that the Mindful Healthcare Collective and really these 8 physician leaders has been an unconditional scaffold of support for me. And so much gratitude for these 8 amazing women physicians for helping to help build that scaffold. For me, the leading of some of these sessions has been a creative outlet for me, and it brings me more in alignment with my own values of authenticity and compassion. And it's only been within the last year and in attending Yvonne's Dare to Lead workshop that I figured out my own values of authenticity and compassion as being the most important for me. And doing this work and facilitating this and having this collective really does feed my mind, body, and soul. And I know that it has done much of the same for the other healthcare professionals and other members of the general public who have attended our sessions. This experience that many of you have already touched upon about giving back and then receiving so much back in return has exemplified shared humanity and love. So the Mindful Healthcare Collective for me has been a bright light in a very dark time of this pandemic. And we are the change we want to see. And we hope that you've been inspired to be the change that you want to see. Reminding you that you're not alone and that our community is here for you.
So we want to end this episode. I want to thank specifically each of the physician leaders who has joined us today and committed so much time and energy to this group collective effort. Dr. Jill Weiner, Dr. Payal Gayal, Dr. Sarah Dill, Dr. Yvonne Ator, Dr. Karen Schiff, Dr. Ann Canard, Dr. Shivani Mukamala, and most especially our esteemed leader, Dr. Ni Chang Liang. And I also want to thank every single person who is working in healthcare who has joined us as part of the collective. We as leaders all happen to be physicians, but our collective is unique in that it is open to anyone who works in healthcare, and it is an inclusive community for people working in that space, knowing that if we have more mindful teams and more well and healthy teams, that we all benefit from that. And so we welcome anyone who is working in healthcare to join us as part of the Mindful Healthcare Collective. I also really want to acknowledge all of the people working in healthcare who've shown up for our events, because that's what has made them so special. And as was mentioned so many times, the more we give, the more we receive. But we have received so much from journeying along this journey with everyone who has joined us. And for those people who are listening who may not be a part of our community, we would love to have you join us. And if you work in healthcare, we have the Mindful Healthcare Collective, and there is a Facebook group and a webpage, and all the information will be in the show notes about how to find us. Those of you who don't work in healthcare but enjoy these podcasts and perhaps work with many of us in our work outside of the Mindful Healthcare Collective, you can join us in a group called the Mindful Healing Collective. Many of our events are open to both because we are all humans, and it's shared humanity that we have all been living through over this last year of pandemic and even moving forward. So we hope that group has its own Facebook community as well. That will be in the show notes, so you can find us, as will all the contacts for everyone who's speaking today. We hope that you'll join us as part of one of the collectives, or that you will check out the websites, and perhaps you may want to, after listening to some of these amazing humans, reach out to them directly and discover how perhaps any of them might be able to support you on your own mindful, well journey of life.
Jessie, you acknowledged everybody. I wanted to acknowledge you, Jessie Mahoney, for all the work that you do as well. We can't leave you out and forget you. So thank you for all you do and all of your hard work in running the MHC, both Mindful Healthcare Collective and Mindful Healing Collective on Facebook, and all the behind the scenes work that you do. Deeply grateful for you.
Thank you so much. With that, we wish all of you well. Have a beautiful week ahead, and we look forward to welcoming many of you into our community and seeing you shortly at some of our events. Have a beautiful week.